Good morning, brothers and sisters. All right. First off, I want to say what a great honor it is to be here with you at your convention. I want to recognize your president, President Durkee, Secretary Treasurer Bertelli, your executive officers who I understand you recently had an election last week or this week, and it was unanimous. So I want to take my hat off and say thank you to each and every one of you, because that's a great job when the membership of this great union realizes the type of leadership that they have. I've worked with Dave and his staff and Steve for quite some time, and you know, we have one of those Nabisco plants in our state, and we've put a lot of time and energy into that project, and we will continue to do so. And I know the president of that local is here, Stan Mezalewski. He's over here. Yeah, close enough. It's like my name. It's tough, but you know, it's interesting. You heard your president report that I was elected to the National Executive Board, and lo and behold, when I was seated for the first time, the person that I'm sitting next to is your general president. So I sort of watch and pay attention to what he does, because you know I'm kind of new at this game at that level, and I can attest to his strong leadership. You know, I listened to the bio and I almost started laughing that I did this and I did that and I did this. I really have to say that we've got a great labor movement in the state of New Jersey. And one of our partners is one of your own general board members, Joyce Alston, who sits on our executive board. And you know, 22, 23 years ago, when we started to throw some of these new ideas and tried to think outside the box, as you know today, when people do that, a lot of people are doubting Thomases, and they don't want to try new things. They criticize, they do this, but fortunately, the leadership and the local unions in our state responded well to some of these programs, as your president has indicated, and we're very proud of it. So it's not about me, it's about the you and the union movement. And with that, I'd like to thank each and every one of my brothers and sisters here today for each and everything you do every day on your jobs to make this the greatest country in the world. So let's give ourselves a hand. Now, let me see if this story sounds familiar or you've heard this movie before. 22, 23 years ago, we had 120 legislators in our state, most of which were Democrats. We're a Democratic state. And I will tell you here today that we couldn't move a piece of legislation. We spent the majority of our time fighting the business community, BIA, the Chamber of Commerce, the Federation of Independent Business. And, you know, I was newly elected, and we were going into our second year of this, and I would go to the State House every Monday and every Thursday and found ourselves really just opposing what the business community was doing. And we had 120 legislators. At that time, if you could believe this, 80% were attorneys. Okay? And they were using the New Jersey State Legislature as a dairy farm. They were just milking it. They'd come in with 5, 6 associates. In a year and a half, they'd had 35 attorneys on the payroll. They're representing the banking industry, the insurance industry. And, you know, no one likes to lose. None of us here like to lose, I'm sure. And after about 2 years into this thing, I went home one day and I said to my wife, you know, hon, I think I've held a lot of different positions in the labor movement, but I don't know if this one's for me, because it's hard to go to work and go to the state capitol every week and know that you really can't make that much of a difference. Yeah, you know, protesting, resisting. I used to get arrested probably on a monthly basis, do all those things. But one day we sat down and said, you know what, we're going to try and do something a little bit smarter. We're going to try and do something that is going to enable the labor movement to gain respect and the power that it deserves. And we did a thing called mapping our state. And here's the reason why we did it. I listened this morning just for a few minutes, but I'll challenge each and every one of you, my brothers and sisters. Give me an example, one example of something that's not connected to the political arena. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, and I haven't been able to come up with one instance, whether it's the cleanliness of the air outside this building or inside this building, school prayer, car insurance, health insurance, all the things that the sister read in that resolution about trade. All of these things go through the legislature at the state level or in Washington. And all of these affect not just our unions, but our family members and our lives. So we thought 22, 23 years ago, if all of this stuff is so important, why are we giving all of our money to the party? Why are we manning the phones? Why are we handing out all the literature for candidates who are basically attorneys and promise us everything under the sun, and when they get elected, they tell us, geez, I'm sorry, maybe we can give you a half a loaf. Why do we continue to do that? Well, this is where we were 22, 23 years ago in our state. So we decided to look at something a little different. And as your president indicated, we've been doing this for 22 years. So if someone says, geez, Charlie, I guess they're maybe lucky down here in New Jersey. You know, when you elect 973, we had another one just last week, Mr. President, a carpenter was elected to the assembly in a special election. But anyway, 74% win ratio over 22 years. In 2017, just this past election cycle, we had 61 union members work like you do, not every day in the shops. 61, 47 won, and that was a 75% win ratio. So, thank you. It's pretty incredible. I gotta find the clicker. So, and I ask you here today, the same thing is going on. And I'm not against rallying, don't get me wrong. I'm not against resistance. But isn't it better to have a seat at the table and be there when the pie gets cut and make sure that we get our piece up front than filing lawsuits, screaming and hollering? You know, our members like that, but after a while you get tired of it. I mean, I did. So here's very simply how it works. All right, we're up on the screen. And as I said in my opening remarks, it's not about one person, one union. It's about the solidarity of all of our unions in the state. We work with the National AFL-CIO, State Federation. Our CLCs are the place where all of this work gets done, and I hope that you all, from whatever part of the country you come from, are participating in your state feds and CLCs. Affiliates, and we work with coalition groups. Now, I've spent 22 years of my life into this, 7 days a week. I believe in it, and I know that it works. So I tried to pare that down in 9 steps. Wasn't easy, but I'll give it my best shot. First step, mapping and research. Step 2, targeting. Step 3, very important, voter registration. 4, file maintenance. 5 is recruitment of candidates. Build a consensus before final decisions, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Select, I can't even see that. Solicit commitments early. Candidate training. You know, we believe in New Jersey that we need to apprentice our members, you, in the field of politics, just like you learn to do your job. You can't send someone into the mill. You can't send someone into factory if they have been properly trained. It's the same thing here. So we, 22 years ago, were the first federation in the country to have our own labor candidate school, which just last weekend, incidentally, was our 22nd class at our state university. We had 36 brothers and sisters who will be running for the first time, and probably 30 to 35 who are in office now and will be seeking re-election. And number 9 is the education, persuasion, and get out the vote. So let me walk you through. This is going to sound like a lot of high-tech stuff, but it's really not. Calculate and rank union density by county and by city. Rank local unions by registered voters, members, and households for each county and city. Calculate unregistered voters by local union. Assess demographics. Consider NCEC democratic performance. Analyze, very important, election turnout and win numbers for the past 5 elections. And ultimately, the question becomes, are there enough voters to sway the election? Okay? So this is what we call mapping, targeting, and research. Our program in New Jersey starts with down ballot. Everybody wants to run for Senate. We got union members that want to run for Congress. You know, that would be like me going into Nabisco and run a machine that I never ran before. I mean, what sense is that? I mean, I give these people, you know, maybe a big star for courage and standing up for the labor movement, but we need to be more diligent, we need to be more intelligent, and we need to spend our resources smarter. So we start down ballot, Board of Ed, Town Council. These races are very easy to win. You don't need third parties, you don't need IEs, you don't need consultants. It's basically a member-to-member and working with the communities, as your president has indicated. And the ultimate goal here is to target elections that you can win. Now, on the previous sheet, when I was reading all of those details, here's what it looks like in raw numbers. I'm going to look at, and I did some work, some of the states now have asked me to use our sort of method on other important states. One state, is there anybody here from Michigan? Okay, got some brothers and sisters from Motown, great. Michigan, as you know, is a very, very, very important state when it comes to presidential elections, and I think they're having a governor's race there. But here's how we do it in New Jersey. We look at every single county, okay? So you can see on the top there, Wayne County, here's how many registered voters there are in that county. Okay, not just union members, this is all registered voters. Here are the total registered members. I'm sorry, these are union members. 122, 339, household members, 159. Total registration, union registration is 282, 282,000 votes in that county. That gives us a union density of 23. Now, brothers and sisters, look at the right column here. In New Jersey, 22 years, we found that the sweet spot is around 17% density. So when we have 17% density, we're winning 74% of the time. If you look at Michigan and you look at the right-hand column, you can see 23, 27, 32. There's a lot of counties here that have the potential to do very easily what we're doing in New Jersey. Now, Michigan, unlike New Jersey, is a very, very big state. They have a total of 83 counties, okay? So, and here they all are. Here's the workup that we did for the state of Michigan, county by county, all 83, okay? So we selected Monroe City, okay, which is in Monroe County. And this is an actual race that we did the work, just like we do in New Jersey, for a Board of Education, for a council seat, for a mayor's race, for a freeholder's race, for a governor, for a congressman, for a United States senator. This is the formula that we have used for over 22 years. Very simple. So let's look at this one. Case study, Monroe County, Michigan, Monroe City. All registered voters, 14,813. That's total. Now here's our side. Registered union members, and this is off the land. This is a system that the National AFL-CIO has. that your union submit in terms of membership files that we extract the information from. So registered members, 1624, unregistered, 525, registered household, 2212, unregistered, 1768. That gives us a total of registered members and household members of 3,836. So if the election for whatever office in this county was going to be held today, we have the potential, if everyone comes out to vote, meaning just union members and family members, we have the potential of delivering 38 and change for a total percentage of 26% of the vote. Now, to me, this is like stealing candy from a baby. That's how easy this is. Because I'm at 17, I'm at 16, and we're winning most of the time. Okay, so let's look at this now. Now we're going to break it down. Here's where it gets very interesting, and any questions after we run through this, I'll take them. Exactly the way we do it. You saw the number of 14,000 total registered voters. We went back on this slide, it says 2 cycles. Now what that means is we looked back 2 election cycles to see how many people came out to vote, what the percentage was. So in the last 2, and I believe, yeah, this is for the mayors. This is for the mayor's race coming up in next year, 2019. So the last 2 cycles, this was an 18% turnout. Now that's even better for us, because the lower the general population comes out and the more we come out, that increases our chance to win. So the 18%, here's the math now, 18% of 14,813 gives you 2666, okay? 52%, as you know in the union business, we need 50 plus 1, so that's 51%, but in our political shop, we use 52, we try and build in just a little extra cushion. 52% of 2666 is 1387. Now, NCEC Democratic Performance, do you all know what that is? No. Do you? Okay. It's the National Coalition for an Effective Congress. So AFSCME, who I believe Lee Sanders was here the other day, they maintain a file. They pay to maintain this file of Democratic performance in every city across this country, if you could believe that. And we've been using this file for 22 years, and I can tell you, it's fairly accurate. So the Democratic performance of this town is 55%, okay? So anything above 50 it leans Democrat. Anything below 50, it leans Republican. Okay, now we look at our house. Total union members that live in this city, 2159. Unregistered, 525. Registered, 1624. Here's unregistered household, and here's registered household, 2212. So we add the registered union members, 1624, and the registered household members, 2212, that gives us 3836. Do you all see that, brothers and sisters? 3836, that's what we have in our pocket, sitting right here in this room today. And we're predicting you need 1,387 votes to win. I mean, I just don't know why people don't get it. It's pretty incredible. We just did a mayor's race, a special mayor's race in Essex County, near where Joyce's territory. Took us $8,000 to do the race, and we blew the opponent away. So here we have 38, you need 13, okay? Now here's, as great as the numbers look, and here's what your president and your officers preach about: solidarity and people and unions working together. These are the 25 largest unions that have membership in that city. So no matter what the numbers look like, how smart I can make it look and say this is like stealing from a baby, if the unions that are on this page don't all come together and do the program, you're not going to win. So this is a pretty good run-through of exactly how we do and what we do. Now, I have one here from New Jersey. I'm not going to do that. I'll just go to the final workup sheet. This is, in fact, the young sister, and the reason why I put this one in, it really talks about the strength of our program in terms of starting out at the lower levels. This was a young sister, African-American sister, who got elected to the Board of Education in the town of Hillside, New Jersey in Union County. She was on the board for about 6 months, and she called me up and she said, "Charlie, I really like to take a shot at the mayor's office." I thought to myself, wow, this young lady's very aggressive. 6 months, she wants to move up already. I said to her, "Look, let me run the numbers." So we ran the numbers, we bring the candidate in, and we actually show them this. So this is the final worksheet of all the sheets that I showed you. But registered voters was 13,000, 27% turnout. Now, it's incredible as I looked at races around the country that less and less people are coming out to vote. I mean, mayor's offices and state legislative offices are being won with 30%, 27%. It's really disgraceful. But in this particular case, 27% of the 13 and change was 3475. 52% of the 3475 was 1807. Okay? The NCEC Democratic performance in this town was 87, so very, very strong Democratic-leaning town. You look at the bottom part of the sheet, and you see the registered union members of 1553 and the registered household of 24-1. We had 39, almost 4,000 votes that we could deliver within our house, and we needed 1,800. Make a long story short, she went on to win. And thank you. So, brothers and sisters, I just wanted to show you one other slide here, and then we'll maybe take some questions or talk a little bit more about. You heard me talk about voter registration. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. Everybody hates voter registration. As soon as you say it in my state, it's just the most thankless job that you can have. Nobody wants to do it. They give you every kind of excuse in the world. But I always say to them, you know, you can protest, you can rally, you could stand on the State House steps and scream till you can't scream no more. But if you can't vote, what are you doing? So you got to register to vote. We, when I took over, we had one of the worst voter registration files in the country, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And the first couple of times we ran people, we lost by some very, very tight margins and realized that voter registration was the key. So our executive board, which is comprised of all of our unions, including yours, decided that we would try and maintain an 80% statewide voter registration goal. We're only one of 2 states, if you can believe this, the entire country, it's us and West Virginia, that we have an election every year. We never have a year off. So politics is an extremely important item in our state. But let me just show you this, because you heard me talk about building power and building respect for the labor movement. Okay? Here are actual races. Let me just show you this. 2010, Leslie Dominguez Rodriguez, American Federation of Teachers. She lost by 12 votes, 2,900 unregistered. 2012, Vaughn Vandegrift, a firefighter, lost by 5 votes, 311 unregistered. 2013, one of my own brothers from the operating engineers, he lost by 39 votes, 6,500 unregistered. 2016, this one I'll never forget, IBEW brother, he lost by 1 vote, 180 unregistered. The attorney suggested to us that we file an election objection. We spent $70,000. Guess what? We lost by 1 vote. 2017, Dahlia Retrice, that's the race I just showed you. She won the mayor's race. So, but there's 2 stories in here. We've established a reputation, the labor movement, we, collectively in New Jersey, that when we decide we're going to run a brother or sister for an office, both parties pay attention because they know we don't get blown off. We're always in the game. And the other thing is, it's a good lesson for our unions to make sure that they register their voters. I would be proud to tell you here today that the first 1, 2, 3, 4 who lost ran the following year and won. So we're kind of very, very proud of that. So thank you. I'm not going to go too much longer, but I just want to reemphasize, and I'm not against protesting. I'm not against the resistance movement. I'm all in. But again, I go back to being smarter, being more efficient. That's what we do. Just like when you're in the shop and something's not working, you figure it out. That's what we need to do. You know, it took us 11 years or 12 years. We elected our first union member, a rank and file IBEW brother, to Congress. We have a representative in Congress now who really does what the labor movement needs him to do. But just imagine if you could close your eyes and you heard John Lewis and you heard your officers talk about all these things that are impacting us. If we had our own people in there, what would we be doing? We'd be spending a lot less money and we would be getting a lot more things. You know, the other thing that I'm very, very big on is organizing. We use our political power in the state of New Jersey as an organizing tool. Let me give you an example. We had 3,500 adjunct professors at our state university, and they wanted to join the American Federation of Teachers. And this is only about 4 or 5 years ago. The president of the college was anti-union, and he sent out an email, if you can believe this, to all the staff of Rutgers University, our state university, saying that we were mobsters, that we're affiliated with organized crime, and listed all of these cases with various different unions. I mean, it was incredible. Well, make a long story short, I guess even though he had a PhD, he didn't realize that the chairman of the Appropriations Committee was a rank and file union member in the assembly. And I guess he didn't realize that the Rutgers University got 50% of its $90 million budget from the general treasury. So when he came down to testify and ask for the 45 or 50 million bucks, let me tell you what happened. The hearing was canceled. And there was no hearing until he understood that we needed to have card check neutrality at our own state university. And because of one of our own union members who was elected to the appropriations and became the chair of that committee, there's now 3,500 adjunct professors who are members of a union. All right? Now, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. But anyway, I hope that you've seen the ease of the way the program works. True, it's based on density. I've been in other states that have asked me to come in, and you know what? I wouldn't be afraid if I was in a state that had 60 or 70% of the vote in my pocket to work with, like your president indicated, the community and team up. And when you're bringing 60% of the action to the game, I wouldn't be afraid to take some of them on. We need to be doing more of that. So brothers and sisters, I'd like to say thank you for giving me this time. I want to say thank you to your officers for every year I call him up and I ask him for a little contribution, because when you're running, last year we ran 60, and we run their campaigns and we finance their campaigns. And we finance that through many of the international unions and through our local union presidents. And without this union support, we would not be successful. And let me just say to my brothers and sisters here today that, and I wanted to give a shout out to my brother, Harry Kaiser. I know he's around here somewhere. But this Mondelez thing, you're doing the right thing. And no matter what, we're going to last one day longer and we're going to kick their ass. I'm telling you right now. Right. So, God bless you. God bless the American labor movement. Thank you.